truth is, by virtue of age and for the fact that he is a Nigerian, and looking at the lifespan in Nigeria, there's high probability that Bola Ahmed Tinubu may be suffering from one ailment or the other. Now, if Tinubu is sick, let's go into another perspective of this analysis. If Tinubu is sick, what does it really mean? That means that the peak of his glory came late. And I will explain to you that is Nigeria unlucky? So if you say that the immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ariwola, should come and resign because he has reached the mandatory age, but Tinubu is older than him and he's still performing. So if you tell lecturers to resign, if you tell doctors to resign, and you leave the office of the presidency blank, that even if you are 120 years old, you can still be president, definitely as a country, be sure that these are some of the things that you will be getting. Now, when last did you see the president of France go to another country for treatment? The president of Canada, even King Charles, that the president visited recently, is using the health facilities in his country. So I don't know why Nigerian leaders lack shame, because it is just an act of shamelessness if you cannot develop the health facilities in your country, and at any slight opportunity, even if it is toothache, headache, you hop abroad. Hello, great people. The question on the mind of many Nigerians now is whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sick or not. You may have come across the video on social media whereby the president was seen coming out, or if you like, sneaking out of a London hospital. Now, many Nigerians have been wondering that the president did not take a medical leave. So what is he doing in an hospital? But then again, we really can't conclude, because do you know whether he went to the hospital to visit his friends or family? In order to unravel this fact, I will try to examine, as a political scientist and social scientist, to try and look into whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sick or not, based on the information is in public domain before now. So I'll be digging out some facts. So if you are watching me right now, you need to sit back and relax and make sure you follow me through this journey, because I'll be bringing out some hard facts for us to ascertain whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu might be sick or not. And I will also be talking about, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sick, what does it mean for Bola Ahmed Tinubu? What does it mean for Nigeria at this point in time? Then I'll also be looking at the past leadership of Nigeria and what having a sick leader have cost Nigeria. I'll also be looking at the lessons for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There are some great lessons to learn, and there are some implications for you and I as a Nigerian, whether we like it or not. So I'll be looking into all these analyses and bringing it to you right now. So now let's dive into this analysis, great people. Now, the first question is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is he sick? Since Bola Ahmed Tinubu has refused to come out and tell us whether he is sick or not, can we do a little bit of research based on the information that is in public domain for us to ascertain whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sick or not? First, let us agree that by virtue of age, you may agree with me that for somebody in Nigeria, what is the lifespan of Nigeria? The official lifespan is not up to 70, maybe 40 something or thereabout. But for somebody to have lived up to over 70 years, and don't forget that there's an age dispute. Some are saying Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, is over 80 years old. Some are saying it is 70 years old. You remember that congratulatory message from the then Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and people have been saying that your daughter, the Iyaloja of Lagos State, Shade Tinubu Ojo, people have been saying, oh, look at her age, look at your age. Did you give birth to her at an immature age? But that's another talk for another day. Now, what is Bola Ahmed Tinubu sick? The truth is, by virtue of age and for the fact that he is a Nigerian, and looking at the lifespan in Nigeria, there's high probability that Bola Ahmed Tinubu may be suffering from one ailment or the other. Now, this is not to spite him. It is nature. You cannot cheat nature. Definitely nature will take its hold on you at the right time, and that is when you are getting old. And we can't call Bola Ahmed Tinubu a young boy. If we want to go political, we can call him a city boy, but the truth is, he is not a boy, he is an old man. So based on his official age, for him to be over 70 years old, there's probability that he might be suffering from one ailment or the other. What are the other facts that we have. Remember when during the Osun election, and they were to appoint or select during the primary, the issue between Aregbesola, former governor Aregbesola in Osun State, and Bola Tinubu, you remember Rauf Aregbesola made a public remark whereby he said that, oh, wọ́n ti ń tọ̀ sára wọn, whereby he was asserting that Bola Tinubu was urinating on himself. And there was this viral image at that time whereby Bola Tinubu visited, I think, a monarch in Ogun State, and his cloth, his brown agbada, was stained at the back with something that looks like urine. And Aregbesola, being close to him, one cannot throw away the words of Aregbesola because he's a close associate of the president, he's a political godson of the president. The president was instrumental in making him the governor of Osun State by the court judgment and also his re-election. So when Aregbesola says such a thing like that, he may be spiting the president, but we cannot throw the words away as just that he doesn't know what he's saying. So you remember that case of that agbada that Aregbesola says wanting to see around, which means the president is sick and he's urinating on himself. And if I could recall, Aregbesola also said at that time that Bola Tinubu is not God, that he should not try to make himself God. Now, let us look at it again. Could Bola Tinubu be sick? Recently, we've had incoherent travel timetable. For instance, the president will go to France and he'll say he's going on a work visit or something like that, but the real details of the work is unknown. You remember that he was in France before Justice Kudira Kekere was appointed, and he came in for the swearing in. And during his recent visit to Dubai, the presidency said he will make a brief stopover in his recent visit to Saudi Arabia. Apologies. The presidency said he will make a brief stopover in Dubai, and instantly, after a while, what do people see? They saw the president in London, allegedly on the invitation of King Charles, the monarch of the United Kingdom. But then again, what is Bola Tinubu still doing in the UK, and why are they seeing him in hospital? So that's a whole incoherent travel timetable. You remember when he visited the Prime Minister of Netherlands, the former Prime Minister of Netherlands, some time ago, and there was a difference between his official engagement and when he returned back to the country. What was he doing during this incoherent timetable? What could he be doing? Well, your guess is as good as mine, that if he's doing something that he cannot say, that means he's doing it privately for himself, and this could be that he's attending to his health. So why would the president be acting in such a manner, in a situation whereby there's incoherent timetable? You can say that the president is acting to avoid embarrassment. The president, the issue of health is a big deal in Nigeria. And another instance that we need to look at to determine whether the president is sick is, do you remember that case whereby Tinubu came back from France and there was this PICC on his armpit here? That picture, I'll try and attach it to this video. That PICC under his armpit is something that they used to transport medication to the heart. So if you are not sick, why would you be wearing PICC that is being used to transport medication to the veins in the heart? That points to the fact that Bola Tinubu may be suffering from one ailment or the other. But the truth is that it is his right to be sick, but then when you are occupying public position, you are the people's property. You are no longer yourself because you are using taxpayers' money. You are feeding based on taxpayers' money. The jet is being fed based on taxpayers' money, and that's why people are asking that, okay, where is our president? Where is Bola Tinubu? Now, another thing why we can use to know whether Bola Tinubu is sick or not is he has been acting to avoid embarrassment, like avoiding media chat, and he has been reading mainly from the script. The last time we had a president that could face the media coherently, I know Buhari granted some media chat to channels and Arise News at some point. But let's examine that. Let's imagine that there is a disaster. For instance, the recent Borno disaster. During these days of Jonathan, the media will walk up to him and he will speak very coherently without looking at any script. So he has access to the media. We didn't have much of that during Buhari time, and we have not had much of that during this Tinubu presidency. Why? That can happen when you are acting to avoid embarrassment. Why would you want to avoid embarrassment? That is when maybe you are beginning to have some cognitive issues, and sometimes when you talk there are some incoherence. So the presidency or your media team will try to package you strongly in such a way that there will be no media embarrassment for you. So they will just be releasing statements, and wherever you want to talk to the people or your guests, you'll be reading from script. And even if you want to make a nationwide address, it will be like a teleguided speech. So we've had that more under this Tinubu presidency. Does that point to something? Now, if Tinubu is sick, let's go into another perspective of this analysis. If Tinubu is sick, what does it really mean? That means that the peak of his glory came late. And I will explain to you. And you that you are watching me, may the peak of your glory, may it not come late. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sick at this point in time, the best anybody can be, the highest position in the land, is the office of the president. It takes a lot. It's a big deal to be the president of a country like Nigeria. It's not an easy thing. Not everybody have that opportunity. So if you are opportune to be the president of Nigeria in your old age, and you are now falling sick, and that sickness is limiting your capacity, it only tells us that the peak of your glory came late. The peak of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's glory came late. Before you argue that with me, let us look at some other president and head of state that were opportune to rule at their prime time, that the peak of their glory came early. For instance, Yakubu Gowon ruled at an early age, and he ruled Nigeria for so many years. He still had the energy, he still had the strength, he still had the intellectual capacity to rule Nigeria at the time. And one of the things Yakubu Gowon is remembered for is the civil war between Nigeria and the defunct Biafra. So he was able to run the country when he was still young. For you to be the president of a country at the age of 30 something, that shows that the peak of your glory. Because after president in Nigeria, I don't think there's any other position that is as good or that is as respectful as being the president of Nigeria. So we can say that the peak of Gowon's glory came early. So he enjoyed his presidency. Another instance is the peak of Obasanjo's glory also came early. Obasanjo became a military head of state at a relatively good age, and he was quite active. Even when he returned in 1999 as a civilian president, he was quite active. So the peak of his glory also came early. Another instance that we can look is that of Buhari. Buhari's first reign in Nigeria, the peak of his glory came early, because as military head of state, you can see the picture of Buhari when he was military head of state, that he was looking young, he was very vibrant, his articulation was top notch. So we can say that the peak of his glory, came early. The peak of your glory will not come late by the grace of God. That's what I can say. But for Tinubu, for him to be the president at 70 something, or if you like 80 something, whatever you choose to choose, and now he's facing this kind of issue, then we can say that the peak of his glory came late. And you can imagine when Tinubu is sitting alone, he will be imagining that, oh God, why? Maybe if I have had this opportunity maybe 10, 20 years ago, I would have been able to enjoy my presidency. And you remember that Buhari also said that, oh, he's getting old when he was president, that is affecting his performance. So it just tells us that nature cannot be cheated. But then let's look at it from another realm. Is Nigeria unlucky? Or is it that Nigerians are disoriented? Is Nigeria unlucky? Because if you look at it, we've had presidents that, rather than for them to serve Nigeria, it was Nigeria that was serving them. For instance, Yaradua spent months abroad in Saudi Arabia receiving treatment on taxpayers' money. Apart from Yaradua, we have Buhari that spent a whooping 225 days abroad during his presidency. You heard me right. 225 days abroad during his presidency. So if somebody spent 225 days abroad and Nigeria jet is parked at the airport and there is a standby pilot, standby air hostess, and you have to pay for the hangar where you park that presidential fleet at the airport for 225 days, you can imagine the cost on the country. And you know what it costs to have effective medical treatment. No wonder that before Buhari left, he was looking ill. When he came back, he was very lean. But after a while, Buhari that was old was looking like, a newborn baby. So imagine how much that cost Nigeria. So if President Bola Tinubu now is sick, with the state of economy, with the hardship in the land, with Nigeria crying that they don't have money, that and the country is crying that we need more money, will Nigeria, based on the hardship in the land and insufficient fund, still be using the fund that's supposed to be used to provide amenities for Nigerians to now be taking care of the president? Because if Tinubu falls sick, he is Nigeria's property, and Nigeria will have to be responsible for his treatment. So it makes you question that how much has Nigerian president spent on medical tourism? If you sum the whole amount that Yaradua, Buhari, and now as we are apparently saying that of Tinubu, you want to question yourself that is Nigeria unlucky as a country? Because we've had country that most people that became president, they are in their youthful age whereby they can give in their best. And I have queried times immemorial that if you say that somebody must retire at the age of 65 because you believe their capacity would have reduced and nature will be setting in, why would you let somebody lesser than that to come and put the matter of Nigeria, to use street balance, on his head? Nigeria has a lot of problems. Nigeria needs a lot of attention. So Nigeria needs somebody that is still active. So if you say that the immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ariwola, should come and resign because he has reached the mandatory age, but Tinubu is older than him and he's still performing. So if you tell lecturers to resign, if you tell doctors to resign, and you leave the office of the presidency blank, that even if you are 120 years old, you can still be president, definitely as a country, be sure that these are some of the things that you will be getting. Now, what are the lessons for Bola Tinubu? Because there are great lessons for Bola Tinubu as a person. One of the lessons is you can run but can't hide. You can run but cannot hide. Because the hospital video, was most likely made by a Nigerian. That video that is circulating in the social media was most likely made by a Nigerian. So if Bola Tinubu had made a full disclosure of where he is, I've told Nigerians that, oh, I'm going to the UK, I'll be in UK, and I'll be having some private engagement with, or private appointment with my medical doctors. Everybody either goes to pharmacy or you visit these people that they call them Elewi, the traditional healers that use traditional herbs, or you go to the hospital. So it is normal for somebody of his age to say that he wants to go and do his checkup. What Nigerians will be after is, how many days are you going to spend for that checkup? So if the days is becoming longer than usual, then Nigerians will begin to suspect. Then Nigerians will begin to say, oh, why don't you transfer power to Shetima, the vice president? Then Nigerians will begin to query you. They will begin to query your health status. They will begin to query your competency for the job. But if it is just for maybe 2, 3, 4 days, definitely not many Nigerians will query you as a president, because doing a medical checkup is part of the routines of life. But if you are hiding, imagine that Tinubu have said that he's going for his checkup. Even if they do the video, it will amount to nothing. Because why? He has already disclosed to Nigerians that is going to the UK and he will be having an appointment with his doctor. So one of the lessons for Bola Ahmed Tinubu is you can run, but you cannot hide, because the world is a global village and social media has taken over the space. So anything can happen right now in the UK and somebody will just capture you or picture you and put it on social media, and within a night twinkle it has gone viral, especially when you are the president of the African capital in the world, the capital of the black race. So you have to come to public office when you are ready to be public, when you are ready that the matters of your life will be made public. You can see what happened in the United States when Joe Biden didn't perform during the debate between him and Donald Trump. Even people in his party were saying, oh, Donald Trump, your productivity, your intellectual capacity has declined. I think you need to step down. And when there was much pressure on him, Donald Trump had no choice than to step down. But in Nigeria, we defend what is indefensible. And sometimes we pay dearly for it. So if there's any lesson for Bola Ahmed Tinubu based on the embarrassment that the viral video have caused, it is that you can run, but you cannot hide. Another lesson for Bola Ahmed Tinubu is, why not fix the hospitals at home? Why is it that Nigerian leaders have failed to learn? You may want to imagine that, is it that Nigerian leaders, they've not learned anything from their predecessors? Because Yaradua spent a lot of Nigerian resources abroad treating himself. You remember that Buhari also spent a lot of Nigerian money, several thousands, or maybe, I wouldn't argue it if they say millions of dollars. Apart from his health, if you look at his welfare maintenance, the Estacos cost of his aids for 225 days, living a presidential life above for 225 days is a lot of money. So is it that Nigerian leaders don't learn in such a way that you create a viable hospital in your country as well? When last did you see the president of France go to another country for treatment? The president of Canada, even King Charles that the president visited recently, is using the health facilities in his country. So I don't know why Nigerian leaders lack shame, because it is just an act of shamelessness if you cannot develop the health facilities in your country, and at any slight opportunity, even if it is toothache, headache, you hop abroad. If those people have not developed their country, will you be able to go there? So charity, they say, begins at home. Whereas Nigerian leaders, despite the fact that we've had issues in the past, and they budget a lot of money for Aso Rock Clinic, over 20-something billion naira. So how will you spend 20-something billion naira on something and you cannot use it to treat yourself? That is an indictment on the presidency itself. That is an indictment on the Minister of Health. So going forward, the lesson for the president is, if you don't want to be embarrassed, develop the home front. Make sure that the home front is developed. Make sure that what you are enjoying abroad, you can also enjoy it in your country. Because in case of incasity, look at when COVID came. COVID came unannounced and it took the life of Abba Kyari. You remember Abba Kyari, Buhari's top aide, chief of staff. COVID came unannounced, and before you know it, the almighty Abba Kyari, that is very influential in the government of Muhammadu Buhari, he died. So let's imagine that Nigeria have had a great health system. Maybe Abba Kyari wouldn't have died, in such a manner that he died. So one of the lessons for Bola Ahmed Tinubu is fix the hospitals at home, because you may have an emergency here in Nigeria, and before they take you abroad, God forbid, you may be long gone. So fix the hospital at home, not only because of yourself, but because of members of your cabinet, members of the legislature, top judicial officer, because we know that the kind of hospital that you will build that will be useful to you, me, I can't afford it. Most of the people watching me cannot afford it. But at least build something so that we won't be using Nigerian money to be blessing the economy of United Kingdom. Another lesson for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, based on the embarrassment of this video whereby he's coming out of the hospital, is disclosure prevents mockery. Yeah, you heard me right. Disclosure prevents mockery. For instance, I'll give you an example. Salawa Abeni, that popular musician, there was a time she came on social media and said that some people are trying to blackmail her with her nude pictures, right? She came out and revealed it to the public. So disclosure prevents or reduce mockery. You will recall that Tiwa Savage also came out and said that, oh, there are some people that are trying to blackmail her. Although those people unfortunately released the video, but because Tiwa Savage has came out to say it, to raise alarm, to kind of like make sure that people are conscious of what is happening to her and what to expect, it reduces the public backlash. Don't say no, because it was after that video, that sex tape was released, that she was called by the government of UK and was paid every amount of money in pounds to perform. I think it was during this celebration of the inauguration of King Charles, I think so, that I think she was even the only African artist that was called at that point in time. So it means that it really doesn't have any much effect on her, and she has released tracks after them. So what I'm trying to say is disclosure prevents or reduce mockery. So if Bola Ahmed Tinubu, serving in public office, spending public money, had disclosed his itinerary and what is wrong with him, it prevents or reduces mockery. Because seeing you in a strange place becomes a big deal if the public does not know what your whereabouts. That's one of the things that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is suffering now. If the public does not know your whereabouts and they see you in a strange place, definitely it will become a big deal. So those are the lessons for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I must say that we need to be very careful. If you are opportune to occupy any leadership position, beware of the impact you are making in people's life, because human beings will come and go, but the country remains, and every day is an history in the making. So if you have an opportunity and you are not conscious that every day you are taking a position in history, you won't be there forever. You either live at the expiration of your tenure, or if God decides to take you away, that is it. So the question is, what is your position in history? And this doesn't have to do only with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You that you are watching me, what is your position in history? That leadership position that you have, are you using it to cause harm for people? Are you using it to create hardship for people? Are you using it to exploiting people? Are you using it to intimidate and harass people? Beware that power is transient, and every day you are taking your place in history. It's been a wonderful time with you on this brief series of the situation of health of Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, titled, Is Tinubu Sick? What Tinubu's health tells us and teaches us. So it's been a wonderful time with you. Till I come your way, like I always say, very, very soon, because I'm not always far from you. I remain my humble self, your favorite political scientist, Dr. Omoshola Deji.